Hello friends, for today's massive Marvel unboxing, we're going to take a look at 3 legendary riders. We got Black Widow on her motorcycle, and Ghost Rider on his motorcycle, and Professor X on his wheelchair. Let's open them up. So first up we got Black Widow. Didn't know she was really a character well known for riding motorcycles. You can see her art on the side there, on the back. No information about any other legendary riders. In fact, it doesn't say legendary riders anywhere on these packaging, but the packaging for Black Widow or the other characters just has her cool little logo with the target and the spider on there. And it's kind of an excuse to give you a cool generic motorcycle. Let's see what it's like in there and open it. Pretty much opens like a normal Marvel Legend. Well, now you can kind of see the card art back there, and it's got a Black Widow symbol, and it's on this, like, concrete slab thing. Kind of interesting. Let's pop Black Widow out, starting with her head. Whoa. There we go. I think that would be the harder thing to pull out. Anyways, the other side of Black Widow's motorcycle has these screw holes. The front has this little headlamp thing, although this doesn't light up at all. It doesn't take any batteries. It feels kind of lightweight, kind of cheap, honestly. I don't know, looks like a generic motorcycle. These things, the side view mirrors are kind of rubbery, which is good, so they won't snap off. And this is a little flexible, but it's nowhere near as rubbery as the side view mirrors. Ooh, are those like reflective stickers? Is it just paint? Or oh my goodness, those are stickers with a speedometer and an odometer and a speedometer and an RPM thingy, and it's a, well, that's kind of a nice detail. I mean, I can't quite make out numbers, but I'm pretty sure that's what they are, right? Oh, decent motorcycles have kickstand or something. How do we get this thing up on the, how do we get it to stand up? Hasbro, what the heck? Well, I finally found it. This thingy is the kickstand, and let's see how well it works. And it doesn't work at all. I mean, that's the kickstand, right? What else could this thing be? Is it? Oh, it goes further out. Okay, good. Let's get it like all the way down, and still doesn't work. A little more forward. So I don't know, all the way forward. Okay, I guess that works best. Flip the kickstand all the way forward. Whoop. Well, tricky kickstands aside, I'm not exactly a fan of how this rear wheel does this. I mean, it's clearly, like, intentional, but I mean, what's the point? Like, so you can bounce figures off of it or something? I guess, I don't know, like, probably real motorcycles do that, and, I mean, real motorcycles have their wheels turn, but it makes sense to emulate that. I don't think it makes sense to emulate the shocks on them, really. Other disappointing thing about this motorcycle is really no paint. Like, look, there's a little sculpted engine junk in there, and it's just, like, kind of a cartoonish engine of a bunch of straight lines. Doesn't look like a real engine at all, and no paint. I mean, like, there's this decal, and that's really it. It's not even on both sides. Kinda cheap, Hasbro. Well, at least the Black Widow figure looks nice, although a lot like her motorcycle, not a lot of paint. I mean, like, there's plenty on the head, obviously, but, like, look at the belt. Like, that's painted on, but, like, it's just painted on, so I'm not really a fan of that. And, like, maybe it's not a belt. Maybe they're just, like, pouches on her bodysuit, but then, like, they should still be sculpted, Hasbro. And then this kind of sloppy on the chest. Like, look how there's, like, black where it's supposed to be flesh, and, like, how the two zippers are kind of at different angles. It's a little weird there, but darn it, that face looks really good. And speaking of face, let's pop the other head on real. Oh, what's happening here? This is kind of, there we go, got it. What the heck is going on here? What is this? Looks like a normal, like, Marvel Legends alternate head thing. It's kind of weird feeling to pop it on. Like, it feels like you're snapping the head in two pieces. There we go. Oh, a lot prettier with this head, I think. I don't know. This looks like a Little Mermaid or something. It's pretty good looking. Let's see if we can get Black Widow onto her motorcycle now. So definitely a very cool pose you're able to pull off there. Although, to get her standing on the bike, you kind of have to cheat, because I can't get the bike to stand up on its own. And I probably could never ever do it with Black Widow on. I mean, I'll try it right now, but At least you can get her on her in this pose, and this looks pretty cool, I think. Okay, now both Black Widow's feet are going to be off the ground, so here's the... and her butt's going to be up in the air, too, apparently. I'm going to try and fix this thing. And we'll get both feet off the ground. We'll try and get her standing on the bike as if she were actually riding it. But with the kickstand, you know? Oh my gosh! So I had to cheat a little bit with her feet to get her butt actually on the seat, but I had her standing up for a second on the bike. This kickstand's not very good, Hasbro, but otherwise, I'm kind of happy with the figure and the bike. Not too much paint. Not too much to say about it. Not really something I'm super thrilled to have, but it's alright. Let's check out Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider might not get a fancy logo like the Black Widow red hourglass thingy, but his name's on fire. How cool is that? And if ever there were a character that should be on fire and should come with a motorcycle always, it is Johnny Blaze. Ghost Rider. He definitely deserves it. Anyways, packaging's nice. Let's open her up. Easy peasy, just like the last one. And no twist ties or anything, it looks like. Oh. I spoke too soon. The card art is a flaming skull with some chains behind it. Pretty much what it should be. Good job, Hasbro. Looks like this motorcycle is going to require some assembly. Let's pop the handlebars out. And Ghost Rider even gets an accessory. It's just better than Black Widow in every way. Oh my goodness. How the heck do you get this one out, though? Arrgh. Okay, so this thing's behind solid plastic, and I'm just gonna, like, cut it ever so horribly. Wow. There we go. That was kind of tough to take out. Oh, the piece de resistance. I guess I cut this rubber, or can I pop, does the rubber go through, or can I just pop this thing out? Man, this is noisy to do. Oh! Okay, there are no real twist ties. These ties just hold the flames on, I guess? But these rear ones don't have any twist ties, and they've got the flames. Ah, the flames just peg on, I see. And so then this is just making sure that this stays pegged on. I can just leave that there, because the wheel turns. They're not really in the way. Yeah, like you can leave the twist ties right there. Whoa! I didn't think, oh, there's another twist tie for these flames. Hardly even notice them. I don't see how these peg on, really. They're kind of loose. I mean, like, they kind of grip around the frame of the bike here, but they don't exactly peg on like the rear flame does. So just leave that twist tie there. It's not bugging anybody. And let's try and get the Mr. Skullface back on the bike there. And we'll pop this in somewhere. Where's it go? Right here, doesn't it? It's kind of tough to do. Eh? Almost? Halfway? No? Not quite? Let me see this thing. There's these two little clips need to go in that little rectangle there, and it's just kind of not cooperating. I gotta be very balanced to do it. Wait, is this thing backwards? I'm so dumb. This thing's been in backwards the whole time. Not that it is any easier with the handlebars facing the correct way. I don't get how this goes in exactly. Just gotta force it. Force it. Oh, man. Force it too much. Ah, finally! Well, I gotta put this back on. Okay, motorcycle's all assembled. Definitely looks a lot cooler than Black Widow's motorcycle. And does this thing have a kickstand somewhere? And this kickstand looks like it's actually gonna work. So that's kind of exciting. It's like got two positions. So does this work? Well, that one works. And that one doesn't. Well, I'm just using what works, I guess. And I'm already loving Ghost Rider's motorcycle way more than Black Widow's. Like, I mean, you'd have to be nuts to prefer Black Widow's motorcycle to this thing. First of all, it's way bigger, and you can see how it sort of barely fits on the display stand. Whereas, I mean, Black Widow's is a bit tinier, and I mean, you can compare them right here. Like, yeah, like, it's a little bit longer, Ghost Rider's is, which is a good thing. And then, it's a lot cooler with all the flames and the skull up front, and really cool how the wheels are translucent. And the flames, the sculpt on the flames and the paintwork is just incredible. I really love it. But unfortunately, the bike itself sort of suffers the same problems Black Widow's does with the paint and stuff. I mean, it's not as bad because, like, look at the skull thing up front with translucent eyes. That's pretty cool. But then the engine, okay, at least it's sculpted more like a real engine than Black Widow's motorcycle, but like, no paint at all. I mean, at least you got like this blue line up here, and I mean, they could have left that off. I don't really care about that, but like, give us a paint wash on the engine, make it look greasy and grimy and stuff. I don't know. It's got the one little sticker up there for the speedometer, I guess. That's kind of nice, but then like, hardly any paint. Little tiny bit disappointing, but the flames definitely make up for it. Anyways, let's move on to Ghost Rider himself, because he also got some flames. Pretty cool figure. I like how he's not all roided out like a lot of superhero figures. And then Ghost Rider's better than Black Widow too, because he gets an accessory. Flamin' chain whip thing. Looks pretty cool, I think. Got the same translucent flames. Anything with flames is kind of cool. Like, Ghost Rider's got the translucent flames on his head and his neck, which I really like. And an articulated jaw, which I really like. I mean, the rest of his articulation is pretty standard for Marvel Legends, you know. But that articulated jaw is not something we usually see. I just really like the face sculpt in general and the flamin' chain whip, and I bet he looks pretty cool on the bike. Yep, of course he looks super awesome on that bike, and he's a bit easier to get on and balance than Black Widow. I don't know why if you're going to pick one of these legendary riders, I don't know why you'd ever pick Black Widow over Ghost Rider, because he's just way cooler in every way and works better too and comes with more stuff. He's a better deal. I really like him. And last up is a much more recent release. It's a Legendary Rider version of Professor X. Only just like the other ones, it never says Legendary Riders anywhere on here, although his packaging is kind of unique. It's got the X-Men logo up there, different X-Men logo down there, and it's Marvel 80 years. Pretty cool artwork on the side. It's funny because Professor X was going to be released in a Legendary Rider wave back in the Toy Biz days of Marvel Legends, but Toy Biz kind of thought, well, you know, that's kind of weird to call a paraplegic guy a Legendary Rider, so let's not do that. But Hasbro don't have a problem with it, especially since they don't technically call him Legendary Rider anywhere. So, I mean, it's just sort of the same deluxe type release, and I really like Professor X's hover chair, so let's get him open already, right? Ooh, so many pieces he comes with. This guy's like easily the best deal of the lot so far. I mean, well, we'll see when everything gets together. Unfortunately, looks like we got a couple sock type things holding his hover chair in. Let's get all this stuff out. Whew, that was a lot of stuff. So real quickly, before we get into the good stuff, Professor X comes on the Phil Coulson suited chameleon body that we've seen before in Marvel Legends many times, but he's got a new head sculpt with really pointy eyebrows, which is pretty accurate, and his suit is green with a blue and black striped tie, which is totally how Professor X looks in Marvel, well, not Marvel Legends, this Marvel Legend he does. It's totally how he looks in X-Men the Animated Series, and I like how his hand is sculpted in a, you know, I'm using my psychic powers pose, which you can actually touch to his head. Really good job there, Hasbro. Anyways, this is what the right side of his hover chair looks like before it is assembled, and this is what the inside of the left chair looks like, and you got to kind of clip these two together, and I guess these panels open up, and well, we'll find out. I guess we'll just clip them together, right? That's all there is to it. I mean, you got the rear part and all that. You got the chair part, which plugs in there. I think we can do it all, and you got that little blankie. Does that just rest somewhere? Let me look at the back of the packaging. Well, it's all pretty simple. What you do is you snap these guys together. They don't really snap, but you get the idea. This is the cushion at the bottom. It goes into this big circle hole with that peg there. Slide it on down. This is the back seat part. Slides on in there. Push it in the back there. Clicks a little bit. Then there's the blinky. Where this goes exactly, I'm not sure yet. I mean, it sort of just sits on Professor X's lap, I guess. Wait, does it slide in here? How does this thing clip on? Does it stay on permanent like, or does it just go on top of Professor X's legs? I'm not sure. But we can get Professor X in there pretty easily. Yeah. Looking good, Xavier. Looking pretty good if you get your arm relaxed. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Except he'd look even nicer if he were hovering, which is what this poofy cloud of white dust smoke is for, I guess. And there you go. Professor X looks pretty good rested in there. I really appreciate how easy it is to slide his legs in. It's not a tight fit like some companies would do. And this blanky part just does kind of rest on top of him, I guess. It's, you know, it's not really in the way too much. One other cool thing about the chair, these panels slide out for Professor X to have access to some little computer thing. You can get his hand on there. It's even sculpted to look like he's pushing the buttons. Hasbro thought this thing through pretty well. And this panel also slides out. Don't go too much though. For touchscreen computer, something. Maybe it could be anything. Could be anything really. But like, look at the thought they put in it. He's got his 2 fingers to touch a touchscreen, but his claw hand to type on the keyboard over here. Pretty awesome. It's weird to say you can get some cool poses out of a guy in a chair, but those panels and the way his hand is sculpted over there really make it so you can. You can almost get him to look like he's doing anything, like he's about to, you know, push a button on the computer or activate Cerebro. Speaking of which, those are the accessories he comes with. He's got a Cerebro helmet here and a Psychic Cerebro helmet effect thingy that just, thankfully it's optional, this weird little, it looks like, well, it looks like a little leftover bit of, spooge or something. Well, I won't say what spooge is, but it's not very pleasant to think about. Thankfully, you can just peg it in if you want, and you can put it on Professor X's head if you want to. And it admittedly looks pretty weird there. Doesn't really look like psychic effect, I think, but I mean, you could probably get it a pretty good stop motion effect going, right? But for the most part, I'm going to leave that off, and I'm going to leave Cerebro off. Now, the sculpt on Professor X, pretty perfect. It's pretty standard. There's not much to say about it, not much to complain about. Sculpt on the chair, pretty perfect, pretty standard. I mean, the only problem with it is a lack of paint detail. But otherwise, I mean, I can't complain too much. Professor X is really cool to have, and he does come with one other accessory, which is this freaky monster head. This is actually an alternate head for the Kingpin Build-A-Figure, and it is to turn him into the Shadow King. But I don't have the Kingpin Build-A-Figure, although I will say this is pretty cool. He comes with little glasses you can even take off, and a cool little sculpted fez. He's kind of a cute, horrible demon monster crime boss guy, but I'm not going to be using him otherwise. And now time for some comparisons. Here's the Legendary Riders Black Widow next to the Scarlett Johansson Black Widow from Avengers Age of Ultron, I think. And you can see just all the details and junk they've added to her sculpt, but I mean, I guess they were following a design, although I don't really like the unsculpted belt, although they're both pretty good figures, honestly. I just think the new one's a little bit plain. At least she's easier to stand up, though, since she doesn't come with stupid high heels, right? And Ghost Rider is a total re-release of this earlier Hasbro Marvel Legends one from, like, gosh, maybe like 2014 or something? I don't know, it's kind of old. The sculpt's exactly the same. They added this blue line on the Legendary Riders version, and I kind of prefer the gray, the plain black and gray, honestly, although this definitely adds some color to them. The flames are way better. How they're just like red on this one, and they transition from yellow to red on the new guy, and on the Legendary Riders version, I think he comes with a much cooler accessory than just a chain that goes across his chest. So even though I don't really prefer blue, I prefer this guy overall. And of course, Professor X is looking pretty decent next to this old Toy Biz Professor X in a standard wheelchair, and it's kind of hard to say which I prefer. Like, I mean, I definitely prefer this chair, but like, look at the Professor X's themselves, and like, I don't really know. Look at the suit bodies, like, they're kind of, I mean, like, this one doesn't have like torso articulation, but like, that's the only positive I can really think. You'd think we'd have some more improvements in like an entire decade, right, Hasbro? Yep, they look pretty similar in height, although I will say, I'm now remembering the old Toy Biz stuff had articulated fingers and toes and those weird ball joints that you gotta move one way so you can get them to pose another way, but you know, other than that, I think they're pretty comparable figures. Let's swap the chairs out. Yep, it can be totally done. Even though they're pretty comparable in height, I feel like the old Toy Biz Professor X is like a little bit thinner because his legs just went in like so much looser, like there's so much less to support the little blanky thing, like I feel. And another problem is, even though you can totally get him to sit in the chair, for some reason Hasbro didn't really put real pegs on his feet. They like look at that. That's like quasi peg holes. They're like, this is where the holes are supposed to go. But they didn't actually put any holes. And then, you know, the other problem is this chair sort of has these pegs in the back that peg into this Professor X, but they're not really needed. You can get them to sit in the chair. Overall, both pretty great Professor X's. I can't really say that this one's better than the old one. However, the chair is really cool and definitely makes Professor X worth it. So here are all of our legendary riders together, and I must say, out of the three of these guys, Professor X is the clear winner. Not to say that Ghost Rider is bad or anything, I just think you get a bit more stuff with Professor X, and he's a bit more worth the money. But, yeah, Black Widow's kind of the weakest of the three. I mean, like, the fact that you can't stand her up on her motorcycle, like, without, you know, putting a foot off to the side like I did for this part, it's really a downside, Hasbro. Like, why couldn't she get, like, a decent kickstand? Like, I mean, even in the Toy Biz days, we're getting kind of better detailed motorcycles and better kickstands. Like, I think we've been kind of gypped lately, like, if you compare the old sculpts and the materials, but that's how it goes. Well, until next time, peace out, YouTube.